What up, it's BNet from We Make Best, and we're here for the Quicksilver Dori Decktek. Dagger Dori plays out completely different to traditional Dawnblade builds of Dorinthea. This Dori doesn't play around attack reactions as we don't have Dawnblade's trigger to push through for value. Instead, Dagger Dori focuses on outvaluing the opponent by blocking efficiently and playing off 2 to 3 card hands. Blade Runner is one of the main build around cards in the deck. Centauri into Blade Runner into Dagger off 1 blue is the core interaction of the deck and allows us to follow up with a 0 cost attack action. This is an 11-point value swing if you include the Valiant Dynamos resetting the counters, as well as presenting a relevant on-hit effect. This is why we play 0 cost attack actions like Coax, Snatch, Scar for a Scar, and E-Strike. This punishes opponents for blocking our weapons when they're afraid of attack reaction. We can also follow up the weapon attacks with Command and Conquer or simply activating Braveforge Braces and attacking again if we don't have the attack action. The attack actions we play are all 0 for 4 attacks, most having on-hit effect. These are the most efficient attacks we can end the chain with, but also let us full block our opponent and still attack for some value off of a 1-card hand and pressure them to block. Coast of Commotion is particularly potent due to the Quicken token giving our attack actions go again, but can also be used to give Centauri go again and set up a full weapon swing followed by a second attack action. Command and Conquer and E-Strike also allow us to play efficient 2-card hands to make sure we're always oppressing their opponent even when we have to block with 2 of our cards. Part of what makes this deck so strong is that it plays nothing like a normal Dorinthea, so some sideboard cards are not as effective against us, such as red unmovables and red staunch responses, and opponents will often overblock your weapons and then you give it go again and punish them with an attack action and a Quicksilver Dagger. Second Swing and Out for Blood are particularly good in this deck because they buff your next attack, not just your weapon attacks. These can be used to buff our on-hit attack actions to important breakpoints and force blocks from the opponent. Razor Reflex is the attack reaction of choice due to its ability to hit our attack actions as well as our weapons. Giving go again to our attack actions allows us to swing with the second Centauri Saber attack after the attack. In order to keep the consistency of the deck as high as possible, we wanted to fill out our blues with cards that give our Centauri go again, as well as blue Overpower to help finish off opponents in the endgame, and blue Snatch to add to our overall on-hit threat count. The standard equipment loadout for the Dagger Dori is Crown of Providence, Tunic, Braveforge Braces, and Valiant Dynamos. Due to being a dual-wield Dorinthea deck, we have access to one of the best equipments in the game, Valiant Dynamo. This deck abuses the blocking power of Valiant Dynamo, making breakpoint attacks much weaker against us compared to other decks. Valiant Dynamo essentially gives us an extra point of value every time we swing with both weapons, and the amount of value you get from Dynamos by the end of the game is insane. Tunic is the main chest as opposed to Courage of Bladehold, as they only affect sword attack. Crown of Providence can help us get blues out of our arsenal or help cycle hands with too many attack action. Braveforge Braces are great for blocking and also provides us with another resource outlet that can add up to 4 to 5 damage each game. Now we'll get into some gameplay so you guys can see just how efficient this Dagger Dori deck is.
Yo, it's Tog and we're about to get into this Quicksilver Dori deck gameplay. So the opponent put us first. We're going to start off with Outland Skirmish. We kind of just see this card as a head jab for our deck that blocks for 3. So it's a little bit better than your normal head jab. But yeah, we're going to start off by attacking with the Saber for 5, but it gets buffed by 1 because he blocks with attack action. But as you can see, when the opponent overblocks, we get to punish them real hard by using the Blade Runner to give the attack go again, which also gives our Dagger go again. But the Blade Runner also buffs the Dagger, so not too bad of a turn 0. We get to take his whole hand, and then we still get to keep an arsenal. So I'd say we came out ahead on that exchange. Already showing how efficient this deck can be. Looks like they're going to activate their bow. Pitching a lunging press, so that's something we've got to take note of. Might have to play around lunging press later on in the game. And then they load in a Sikkim shot. So it's just a 1 for 4 go again. Expecting them to buff this up. But as you can see by hand, it's pretty decent. But it's also all block 3s, I believe. And then, oh yeah, so the opponent loads up a Deadeye and a Poison the Tip, so we don't really want to let this hit. But as you can see, we can quite easily just block this out with our Valiant Dynamos blocking for that 1 and then using 2 cards. So we just use 2 cards to block out his 3-card attack along with our boots. And then, as you can see, we still got a blue and a Blade Runner along with a Razor if we need it, but we probably won't, and we're going to be able to present a very strong 2-card hand. Opponent passes back, so yeah, we're just going to attack with Centauri Saber, 2 floating. I doubt the opponent wants to block here. It's just 2 damage. So yeah, no blocks, got a reactions. We're going to cast Blade Runner to give the Saber go again, and also buff our next weapon attack. And so now we're going to come in with a, I was going to say we should be attacking with the Saber here for 5. So we get a 2-card 7 then, but really it's 8 points of value since it's going to take the counter off of our Dynamos. So we just 2-card for 8, I would say. Yeah, so super efficient. That's like Wounded Bull numbers right there in our 2-card hands. As well as blocking out his huge turn, or semi-big turn we'll call that. But yeah, back to the opponent. So we've got the health lead here. They do pitch, raise a reflex to activate their bow. Ends up being another Sikkim shot, so another 1 for 4 go again. Still has 2 cards in their hand, though they do need a pitch to cast this arrow. As you can see from our hand, we got a lot of blues, so we don't mind blocking out if they do present something. Yeah, remember I was just checking what that counter was. I believe it is just an aim counter from point to tip. So we don't mind this. As you can see, we've got the Warrior's Valor, so we got to make sure our attack hits for this next turn. So I don't mind taking the damage, keeping extra resources to be able to razor over any blocks, and then using the extra pitch to activate Brave Forge, and then using Dagger a couple times. Although it does look like I just block out a bit here. Block for 6, just because the cards are a little bit more low value than what we'd like. Oh, plus we also just have Tunic up for the Razor Reflex. So we get to attack in with the Saber. Pretty much this is super safe since we do have the Razor in our arsenal. If he wants a double block to try shut down our turn immediately, we get to punish them. If he does take the 5, we're super happy with that. We get to swing in with the Dagger again. And then I think I would even prop Tunic here to attack with the Saber for a second time. We're gonna have to see. Yeah, so I do just activate Brave Forge with my floating, activate Tunic, and then attack with Saber again. So another super efficient 2-card hand. 2-card 8, but also the counter off of Dynamo. So this time it's actually 9 points of value off of our 2-card hands. And as you can see, that's just absolutely insane value. There's not much decks that can show this type of value in their 2-card hands and things like that. But yeah, let's keep going. The opponent casts a Read the Glide, Ops, puts the card to the bottom, activates Sand Scour, so they are going in blind. Looks like they whiff, so they load in a Hemorrhage Ball. I believe that needs an aim counter to be threatening, which it does not. Looking at our hand though, we got the Blade Runner, we got the blue, so we can always look at those extra 2 cards as blocks if we want, but since it's a Snatch and we have a Razor, probably gonna look to just, what was that? Oh, it looks like I missed my block with my Valiant Dynamos. Might as well just take the extra free 1 health, since we are going to be going Saber, Dagger, Snatch with Razor, something along those lines. So happy to take 7 here because we're about to present one of our big turns here. If that did have an aim counter on it, I probably would just put the Crown in front to save the arsenal anyway. But yeah, as you see, we can attack with Saber here, pitching a blue. Yeah, opponent correctly does not block, so we're going to Blade Runner it, buffing our next attack by 2, giving our Quicksilver Dagger go again until the end of turn. So now we get to attack for 3. They snap no blocks, so that's a good sign for us to send the Snatch. Sending in Snatch, I am just going to shoot the Razor when they declare no blocks because we're going to draw a card for Arsenal anyway. Then it ends up being a low value blue, so I think, yeah, I'm just going to activate my braces and attack with Saber for 3. So an enormous hit on the opponent. As you can see, the life lead is just absurd now. As soon as we got our first 5-card hand, we absolutely just took over the entire game. I'm not even sure how much points of damage that was. It was like 2, 5, 9, plus 3, 13. And then another 3, so 16, and then a point off Dynamo, 17 points of value there. Absolutely insane. So let's keep going. The opponent loaded in a drill shot. Oh, so they skull boned and then put the card to the bottom, activate Azalea, and they hit a drill shot. So it's actually a pretty good one. Key thing to note with drill shot against Valiant Dynamos is Valiant's effect actually removes the negative counter that's given to the Dynamos from drill shot. So actually a hard counter to this card. But then the opponent follows up with a poison the tip. So it's a little bit scary to let this hit. Does have dominate. I think I figured out that we can just block for 5 with the equipment. Yeah, and then if they have the rain arrows, yeah, rain razors, that's the one. Rain razors to come in and make us discard, that's alright because we still can 3-card hand, E-strike, go again into snatch. So we're still looking fine here. Yeah, so we sink the snatch for the Alpha Blood. And then we probably are just going to discard the Alpha Blood. Yep. Alpha Blood's super good in the deck though, since it can actually buff your attack actions, not just your weapon attacks. So yeah, super goated. One problem is it does need to be blocked on the weapon to trigger reprise, which some people figure out midway towards the late side of the game that they shouldn't block your weapons as much. So that's why we only run a 2 of that. But yeah, just carrying on the plan like before, probably going to E-strike. I think I did think about just sending it for 7 and then arseling the snatch, but I'm pretty happy to just present 9 damage, and then even if they block the snatch out, I'm super happy with that. That along with the 20-point life lead, pretty hard to make any incorrect decisions here. Attack for 5, half of the opponent's life total. We'll see how they want to block, if they want to block. And they do just pass, opt to take the 5, so they're getting real low here. And then we present the snatch, so this demands a block out of them. There's no way they want to go to 1 and let us draw a card for our arsenal. But the opponent just blocks with Skullbone Crosswrap. I'm pretty sure they're just tilted and don't want to continue this game anymore, something like that. And then we draw into a Slice and Dice, super powerful card in this deck. We see it as a Blaze Headlong, just a 0 for 4 go again. That actually blocks for 3 as well. And then as you can see, we also have a second swing in there. Another extremely powerful card. The +4 effect that you get from second swing actually goes onto all attacks, not just your weapon attack. So you can actually buff your snatches past 2 breakpoints, since it is a +4, not a +3. So absolutely insane. But yeah, we're on such a high life total here that we're happy to just take a full hit as long as it's not going to mess with our hand. Because as you can see, our hand is absolutely insane. We can Slice and Dice, attack with Centauri for 3, and then we can Blade Runner it, and then activate, and then cast Second Swing, giving our next attack +4, so that's +7 from Slice and Dice, Second Swing, and then Blade Runner +2, so it'll be +9. Put the Brave Forge on top of that. I think it's a dagger for 11 if it comes. And then yeah, the opponent sends a Seek and Destroy with a Heat Seeker. Absolutely do not care, so we're just gonna straight take 8, have your arsenal. We are just gonna dump our whole hand on our own turn, so we don't care about the Seek and Destroy. Opponent shouldn't have any follow-ups because he's got no action points. So yeah, and as you can see, we're just gonna cast Slice and Dice. Attacking with the Saber, pitching the blue. So this one's coming in for 3. They already got a block here. I'm expecting just the boots, maybe go to 1, but then they die to any react if they want to do it like that, but I don't think they can play around reacts anyway. And then yeah, we're just going to cast a yellow Blade Runner on it. This gives our Quicksilver go again until end of turn. Then we're going to activate the Brave Forge with our floating. Then we're going to cast the Second Swing, pitching our second blue. Then we can attack him with the dagger for 11. And then to be noted, even this dagger has go again with one floating. We can attack with the saber again after this. So even if the opponent was able to block this out, they would still be facing lethal. But yeah, that's a Quicksilver Dori.
That's it for the Quicksilver Dagger Dori deck tech. Stay tuned for the channel. We might be getting a stream going on. We out.